Well, I don't think you had this in your bingo card for today. What is up, Finn fans? As you can see by the title of the video, the Miami Dolphins are doing something today. They are apparently expected to sign Matthew Judon to a one-year deal after a successful visit, some help before the season. So the Miami Dolphins bring in Matthew Judon. Big fat question mark, though. The Dolphins don't need a pass rusher. They actually are pretty deep in depth at pass rusher. Now, this might mean someone, moved at the back end of it. There's rumors out there about Jalen Phillips being traded, which makes no sense because he's kind of banged up right now and you're going to get nothing for him. Bradley Chubb, which again, none of the top three guys make sense to be traded right now. But there is a rumor out there that the reason they're bringing Judon in is they might move on from another guy to grab a corner in a trade. So we'll see if that becomes something, but right now the Judon situation I'm happy with. I've talked about bringing in Judon during free agency and all that stuff, kind of like the Calais Campbell situation of last year where I was like, they need to bring Campbell in, and they did, and I'm like, oh, this is going to work out, and it did. But you look at Judon, he was with the Falcons last year, had 5.5 sacks. His last year with the Patriots, he had 4 sacks, and then before that he had 15.5 and 12.5. So he's still productive. 2 years ago, he had 15.5 sacks. He's up there in age, 9 years. He's an NFL vet. He is 33, so he's not a young buck. Definitely be a rotational guy. Think of like when we brought in Ingram, I think it was in 2023, kind of that type of situation. But again, this is a big old question mark for me. This one, I don't really understand the move here. I don't hate the move. I think it's a very good rotation having Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Chop Robinson, and now Matthew Judon. But you have Grayson Murphy and you have some other guys in the depth situation that are pretty good. So this one is a head scratcher. Now, Mike McDaniel did meet with the media today, and he talked about a few things that I just want to talk about real quick. He said Austin Jackson remains on track to return to the season opener versus the Colts, which is nice to hear. Surprise, surprise. Xavier Howard signed with the Colts today. Big old surprise there. Coach Mike McDaniel said Dolphins running back Devon Achane is dealing with a calf injury and likely not practice this week. McDaniel said this is a preventative in nature, especially because of how explosive of an athlete he is. Side note, tomorrow's practice is closed to the public. So tomorrow's practice was supposed to be open to the public. It is closed to the public. So you'll probably get a more condensed recap of tomorrow's practice. And then I head on my flight down to Miami. Mike McDaniel says he targeted this week for Darren Waller's practice debut, but it's not set in stone, which means it's probably not going to happen. He'll probably practice the 2 weeks before the season starts, and then we'll see what happens there. McDaniel said Matthew Judon's visit, which is now obviously a situation where he's signing for a one-year deal, is not a response to any injuries within the Dolphins' outside linebacker room. So again, there was also that notion and thought that maybe, just maybe, it had to do with Jalen Phillips being banged up and then Chop with his ribs, and he's saying no, it has nothing to do with that. McDaniel says things are going as planned for Austin Jackson's recovery. He's expected to be ready. He said Dante Trader had a cap at 5 reps for his preseason debut. They didn't want to overcook that competitor. He also said he has 0. He's expecting to see a Sealer this week. Again, Sealer got poked in the eye and he barely missed any time. Ethan Bonner has a hamstring injury and will be out weeks, per Mike McDaniel. So again, they need to go out and get a corner. There are still some out there. So if you're going out there and getting Matthew Judon, you still have Rasul Douglas out there. You still have Asante Samuel Jr. out there. You still have Stephon Gilmore out there. These are all possibilities. Bear Jackson said, I asked McDaniel if Judon's visit is expected to be weeks. A linebacker, but he said no. Coach McDaniel was pressed on his cornerback unit, but wouldn't rule out adding veterans due to it being inherent in our responsibility to consider all the other things. So again, need to add a corner. So we'll see how that goes. The challenge is to not find the names, but trying to be real and find the best player when it comes to adding corner. So again, Judon's brought in. It seems like Steelers are good to go, and we'll see what's happening with Achane. Bonner's probably going to be a hot minute. He might start this season on the pup. But again, it's just a big old question mark for me for bringing in Matthew Judon. I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say about Judon being brought in to the Miami Dolphins, because big old fat question mark on that one. We don't really need a pass rusher. We kind of need everything else besides a pass rusher. So we'll see how this all pans out with Judon, and if there are moves at the other pass rusher situation and all that stuff. But as of right now, Miami brings in Judon. It supposedly has nothing to do with the injury base. They're looking at corners. So I think this is around the time also where you're going to see these veteran free agents start to get signed and scooped up, because training camp's almost over and they don't want any part of training camp. So they use the 2 to 3 weeks before the season starts to get acclimated with their team, and then they'll get ready for the season. So, I think that's kind of what you're going to see here, and what's going to start happening. You'll see Rasul Douglas and all these other vets that are still out there, because I think the Vikings brought in offensive lineman. His name escapes me. Comment below for a visit. So this is where you start to see these vets come in. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out. I will see you guys later tonight over on the Dolphin Collective. Come hang out at 7:30. And then, like I said, tomorrow it's going to be a shorter training camp video because it's closed to the public. And then I catch a flight and I head down to Miami for the Thursday practice. So you get live from the field practice notes from me. So it's going to be fun. But again, comment below what's your thoughts on the Judon visit, what's your thoughts on what McDaniel had to say, all that good stuff. And I will see you tomorrow. But like usual, and actually tonight on the Dolphin Collective, but definitely tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. Offense up.